Hi, this is Steve Adubato. More importantly, this is Think Tank, the podcast, where we bring to you all sorts of interesting, compelling people in the public eye, and some really aren't in the public eye. I'm Steve Adubato, as I said, and joining me in the East Main Media Studio is, in fact, Mary Gamba, who is one of the leaders of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Let folks know who haven't heard you before. You've been with us for a couple of years?
Yeah, absolutely. Just under 20, so we just reached 19 years. Yeah, we're both getting old, but just getting better with age.
Why don't you speak for yourself? Okay, listen, tell folks how they can find us, Mary Gamba.
Absolutely. To hear more Think Tank podcasts, you can subscribe on Apple iTunes or Google Play, or you can visit our website at steveadubato.org. That's ADUBATO. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato and on Facebook at Steve Adubato, Ph.D. to check out all of our amazing content.
Okay, here's the deal. The podcast today, Think Tank the podcast, is Dr. Ben Dworkin. That's D-W-O-R-K-I-N. He is the director of the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship. You ask yourself, what is that thing?
I was just going to ask you that. What does that mean, Steve?
Well, here's the thing. I've known Ben for a long time. He understands politics, but more importantly, he understands how government works or doesn't work. And he wanted to go down to Rowan, our university that our organization, the Caucus Educational Corporation, has had a long-standing relationship with. I've taught there, as you know. But Ben and this institute is dedicated to teaching people, motivating people, moving people to be better citizens. He's got this great quote: "The political process will not work in a representative democracy if people do not take responsibility, not for just themselves, but for their government." You say?
I say that is more true today than ever before, with all of the instant information available on social media, with our great president putting as much as he does on Twitter. It's important that our young adults today understand how to dissect what is real news, what's not real news, and then get active and get involved. We can't just wait for someone else to do it. We cannot wait for someone else to lead. They need to step up and be leaders, but in order to do that, they really need to truly understand the facts. And to do that, something like the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship will help them to do that.
Now, Mary mentioned our great president, and if you think he's not a great president, or if you think his policies aren't so great, criticizing is not enough. The question is, what will you do? What can you do? How can you make a difference? It's not just about running for office. It's about getting involved in your community. It's about trying to make a difference to improve the quality of life of the people in your community. And so tweeting is easy. Trust me, I do it. Texting and sending something out on Facebook is easy. We do it. But what Ben Dworkin is talking about is more than that. He's also talking about helping people understand public policy, how it's made. As a former state legislator, people used to say, you never want to see how public policy is made. It's kind of like sausage. You like to eat it, for those who do, but you never want to see how sausage is made. Well, that's a cliche, but the problem is we do need to understand how public policy is made, and that's exactly what the podcast with Ben Dworkin talks about, and that matters.
It does matter.
So let's set this up. Steve Adubato, Mary Gamba, Lauren Gary in the studio, the senior producer of Think Tank, the podcast. But you're about to hear a guy who understands an awful lot about what works and doesn't work about government. More importantly, what you could and should be doing about it. This is Dr. Ben Dworkin. This is Ben Dworkin, Dr. Ben Dworkin, director, Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship. Good to see you, Ben.
Good to see you, Steve.
You actually sat in another conversation we had, but we said, there's so many things to talk about. Let's keep doing this.
Always happy.
2020.
Yes.
You can find any cable network. You know what they are. We're not going to plug them. We're public broadcasting and Fios and radio systems all over the place and social media platforms. We're not doing horse race. We're not doing the 50 candidates running on the Democratic side. We're not doing that. And we're also not going to obsess about President Trump, but I am going to ask you this. 2 or 3 issues that you think will matter greatly. Issues. We do policy and issues. 2 or 3 issues that you think really will matter in 2020 to decide who the next president is.
I think jobs are going to be a huge issue. The overall state of the economy, people are they confident in the future? I think social issues, very broadly speaking, how we treat each other in the country. People are, look, it's a very divided country right now. President Trump has been able to...
It was that way before he became president.
It was. And he's found a way to success by making sure people are delineated.
Hold on. I said we weren't going to do politics. Now all of a sudden, how is it a successful strategy to keep people divided?
Because he won. I mean,
in 16.
Yes.
But is that a long-term strategy to move forward and get things done?
No, but it's a strategy for somebody who wants to win the next election.
But to what end? See, this is where I'm trying. It's not about President Trump being critical of him, but whether it's Trump or anyone else, President Trump or anyone else, what is the point of being president if you can't get things done with coalitions?
Those who would. Those who favor President Trump and his advocates would say that they've been able to get things done. They talk about the strength of the economy. We have the lowest unemployment we've seen in years, that they've been much more assertive in terms of economic trade policy. They've been much more assertive in terms of immigration and immigration enforcement. And they see these things as very positive. The point is, when we talk about what are the top issues in 2020, it's really whatever Donald Trump decides.
What he decides?
Because he is the ultimate voice right now. What he sets the agenda. More than he tweets out something, and then we all start talking about it.
What role in the media? So, sorry, since you're teaching and promoting citizenship at Rowan and the Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship, by the way, we're listening to Ben Dworkin right now from Rowan. Aren't we in the media also supposed to be establishing the agenda as to what's important, whether the president tweets about it or not?
It has been traditionally a role that the media played, right? The agenda-setting effect.
Yeah.
Whatever was on the front page of the leading papers and the leading news broadcasts, that was what we were talking about, and increasingly less so, because the president has found a way through Twitter to be able to dominate, so that the news is following him much more than he's following them.
Respectfully, in public broadcasting, with our series Think Tank, State of Affairs, and all the great programming here coming out of NJTV and also WNET in New York, our partners there, are we somehow, and again, not a commercial for public broadcasting, we're not sitting there going, what did the president tweet about? We're literally sitting here saying, let's talk trade policy.
Yes.
Let's talk immigration. Let's talk jobs. Let's talk the economy. Let's talk about civil discourse in the nation. We don't care who's tweeting about it or not. We know that's important. Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Absolutely, and you do a great job of it. I mean, not just a plug for you, but the media.
That is everyone's job in the media.
And the media does it. We want to raise. I mean, part of what I do in my job is trying to raise a generation of citizens who will listen to the media, who will be critical observers of their government, who will look and see and become engaged.
That's citizenship. You're not teaching them to send nasty tweets.
No, not at all. We're teaching them, you have to understand how the process works so that you can affect change. And everybody seems to want something better, something different, no matter which side of the political spectrum you fall on. You want to do it better. And the way, what our role is to
at your institute.
At our institute at Rowan University, is to make sure people understand how they can do it. I grew up in the 80s. That's when I really came of age. It was the apathetic MTV generation. My students today, they're not apathetic at all.
They're not.
They're not. You talk to any young person, they care. They've been shaped. It's a very different.
What do they care about?
They care about student debt. They care about the jobs. They care about whether they're going to be the first generation in American history not to do better than their previous generation. They have gone through these. This is a generation coming of age post 9/11, post Iraq and Afghanistan, post Great Recession, and then people say, "Why are they considering socialism? Why are they attracted to someone like Bernie Sanders?" Like, because the system hasn't worked for them. You know, we've got a supply side problem in politics. What politics is supplying is not being enjoyed and appreciated and liked and seen with favor by the public, and so they're looking for something different. The role that the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship plays is to say, you want to make a change because you're not apathetic, because you do care. Here's how to do it.
But respectfully, Ben, I want to push back on this end.
Sure.
And again, in public broadcasting, our job is not to express a point of view, and I'm not going to do that, but I will ask this. Whether you're talking about Medicare for all, whether you're talking about the new Green Deal, those policies that folks who are very progressive on the Democratic side, and some argue socialist, particularly whether you're talking about Bernie Sanders or others, they're unapologetic. Yeah, that's where we are, very far to the left. There's an honest discussion to be had, and how do you have that with students when you say, yeah, Medicare for all sounds great. You want to talk about what the cost is? You want to talk about the new Green Deal? Let's talk about what it means in terms of ability to have fossil fuel and drive a car. Isn't that what citizenship is too? Understanding what these things mean beyond a bumper sticker?
Absolutely. It's not. I'm not doing my job. No college professor is doing their job. No person who's involved with educating people in the public is doing their job if you just leave your student with a bumper sticker. It is only because. Explain it, justify your argument, have this debate. And there are places, we think our institute is one of them, where you can have this debate respectfully.
Hold on, stay there, because we've got a minute and a half left. How do you teach students how to have a respectful debate if you have a different point of view, when historically, at least my friends who have a different point of view is, they'll say, you're right, I'm wrong, I love this guy, you hate that guy, and we can never talk. Meaning, we're so polarized that no one's listening to anyone else. Isn't that part of citizenship? Listening?
Yes, so listening is part. So how do you teach listening? One of the ways, and this is where you get to the public policy, prove it. Whatever it is, what political science is, it's the same conversation you'd have around the dinner table about politics.
Not my family. There was just a bunch of arguing, but go ahead.
But the point is, what makes it different when you're doing it in an academic setting is that you have to say, okay, show me numbers. Prove to me that you think this is the way to go.
Well, that's just the way I think, devil's advocate. That's just what I think. You say to them what when they say that? I'm right. I know I'm right. Like, what is that?
It's not an argument, and we're going to try and create a situation where our Republican students and our Democratic students and all, everybody in between and on the outside is able to make their argument better and understand how the process works. It's not just about being able to come up with a policy, but understand how you get the votes to affect that change.
Ben Dworkin from the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship. I'll get that out. I can't think of a more important thing.
RIPPAC. It's a good acronym.
Look at you coming up with an acronym. Everybody's got to have an acronym.
RIPAC.
I cannot think of a more important thing to be doing than teaching students to critically think, listen to others, and use facts to make their argument. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Come back anytime.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Hackensack Meridian Health, New Jersey Sharing Network, Community Food Bank of New Jersey, Valley Bank, NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan, and by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey. Promotional support provided by New Jersey Monthly and by Jaffe Communications.